Okay, we're going to tie a pheasant tail flymph, a pattern taken from the book Tying and Fishing Soft-Hackled Nymphs, written by Alan McGee. If you're a soft-hackle enthusiast, you may want to buy a copy of this book. It's packed with ideas like this one, which shows you one way to use oversized hackle when tying small flymphs and other soft-hackled flies. Finding hackle for a size 20 hook like this one is easy once you know the secret and the trick, and McGee has a lot of secrets and tricks like this one up his sleeve and tells them all in this book. The first thing we want to do is get this thread started on the hook about 2 eye sizes back from the eye. Cut the thread and leave the thread hanging in the center of the hook, and this little insert here shows us a back partridge feather that we're going to use. You can see the brown tips and barring, and that the hackle is much larger than it should be for a size 20 hook like this. So we're going to cut away these damaged tips, and we're going to cut away this center portion of the feather, and then just use these pieces that we're going to prepare and get ready down here on the bottom. So let me strip first this stuff away, and we'll prepare the fibers we want to use by pulling them back gently. You don't want to tear them off or anything. You only need 10, 12 on each side there. I mean, and that's a lot. This is only a size 20 hook, remember. Let's turn this over or turn it around, and we just cut this whole tip off. This is a technique you see a lot of people use preparing throats for streamer flies and wets and Atlantic salmon flies. But we're going to use it for the soft hackle for the actual fly. And once you get the feather prepped like this, you just set it in place and tie it in. So let's get rid of this insert and get back to our fly. And I've got a feather here that I've prepped that same way. I've cut the center out of it. Set this in place, make sure I just check the length to make sure I've got plenty of extra length sticking out beyond the hook eye. Move the vise head so I got a comfortable position to grab a hold of this feather and hold it while I tie it on. Get those barbules out of the way. And these are going to be very soft wraps. I'm not pulling any tension really here at all, just enough to keep it in place. I would try to wrap a distribution wrap and pull this around, but it would be too tight, because I want this to slide. I'm going to slide it into the right length. I'm going to use my scissors as a caliper and check this length, and just a little shorter maybe. Pull that in. And then, because I've only got about space for 2 thread wraps, I really can't do much in the way of distribution wraps to pull this around. I'm just going to wrap gently to get up to the point where I want to be. I've got a little more tension on here, and I'm trying to distribute it with the thread, but it's hard in just that one wrap or so. But if you spread it around by hand, cheat, use your thumb and forefinger, you can get it spread most of the way around the hook. You'll see like I've got it here. Just keep working at it. And with those in place, everything looks okay. Length looks about right when I push it back like that, so I'm going to trim off the butt section. And we'll get a rib wire here and tie that in. You got to make sure you use a small wire. I mean, is a size 20. You got to get 3 to 5 wraps usually in on the body, so it's got to be pretty thin wire, or it'll just cover the whole body up. And wrap back, pulling that to the bottom of the hook with my thread as I wrap. That looks about right. Okay, now we wrap back to the center here and leave the thread hanging, and get some Zelon, a brown and white mix, and you only need a few strands of course of each of those. And I'll check them against the hook shank here for length. I want something just shy of a shank length sticking out beyond the bend of the hook after I get this tied in. So trap this, and then I can wrap towards the bend, holding the material right up on top of the hook. Back here and check that looks fine. So I lift this stuff up and cut it off. If I could get my own thumb out of my own way. Couple more strands there. Yeah. Okay. So it's time for a body for this fly, and for the body on this fly, it is pheasant tail, and you want to use 4 fibers, and I've just cut the tips off to square the ends, so when I capture them here, I've got a nice end there to work with. Wrap back here and roll this hook over and bring those 4 fibers down and wrap them around the thread. And after I get about 3 turns around this thread here, I just stroke down, and I could put a hackle plier on here, but if you've got long fibers, and on a size 20 it doesn't take real long fibers, you can just hold it in your fingertips and bring it out right parallel with the hook, make a half a dozen wraps, no more than that, and then come back perpendicular to the hook here and wrap your body material forward, and you've got a thread reinforced body that will hold up to quite a bit of fish damage, hopefully. Capture the ends of those, trim them off. And I'm going to make 4 or 5 extra wraps here. And these wraps are going to unwrap as I counter wrap the rib wire. Watch the bobbin drop. You'll see it dropping off the screen as I wrap, or towards the bottom of the screen. So all those thread wraps I made up there are just going to unwrap, and my thread will be hanging right there waiting for me to tie down my rib material. Bring that up, cross over, wrap in front, pass the wire over the thread, and cross over and a wrap in front, and I can twist that off. 1 or 2 wraps here with it bent backwards, and I know it's not going to come out from underneath there. And we've kind of worked our way up to the thorax of this fly. And for the thorax, we'll use some peacock herl. We just need 1 or 2 strands of this. See if everything's okay here, and if we still got a reasonable distribution of hackle. Looks like we do. So we bring this herl in, capture the ends of that, 3 wraps or so towards the eye, and then I should be able to just snap these off if I hold that thread tight and back a little bit. The tips of these are usually nice and easy to snap, except I got a tough one here. There we go. And then 3 wraps back up onto it, so I know that's nice and secure. Roll that down, and I like to twist this around the thread as well, but there's no need to go through grabbing it and pulling it out parallel to the hook, because you just got to make a couple wraps here. And with those 2 done, just work the thread loose. Whoops, there we go. Wrap over that. Pass it over the thread, wrap over and trap it. And I should be able to snap. That's a tough one, that one there. Now make about 3 wraps towards the eye, and we'll push this soft hackle material back. Now, because that thread's right up against the back of the eye, we should be able to pull this soft hackle material right past the thread. Step back, keep pushing. I need a bullet head tool to push this back, but I'll cheat and I'll use my trusty half hitch tool. There we go. There. Now I should be able to get a few wraps right in front of all of that. See how my distribution is. Looks just fine. More wraps to get those fibers to lay back. Push them up against that thorax. I'm going to throw a whip finish knot in place. Cut that off and we'll take a look and see how we did here. Separate some of these fibers that are still stuck together. Very webby stuff. There you go. I'm pretty happy with the length of that. Figuring we started out with a pretty big hackle for a size 20 hook. There you go, just to give you a point of reference. So there you have it. There's a pheasant tail Flymph tied using rotary fly tying techniques. If you get a chance to pick up this book, Tying and Fishing Soft-Hackled Nymphs, you should get a copy. It's a great book. A lot of good information in it.